Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting edition of Change the F Up. I am Nate the Effing Great. Victory Bell has the day off. And as you heard by the theme music, we are talking about that 70's show. Honestly, guys, one of my favorite TV series of all time. That 70's shows, it goes into just this great in-depth of about the last 4 years of the 70's. And talks about a group of friends who go on these wild and crazy adventures and just so much going on. And this is just an amazing series, guys, that here's basically what's going to happen. It's going to be a 2-part series. Part 1 is going to happen this week. Part 2 is happening next week. This week we're going to be talking about the characters along with some of the relationships that have gone along the way. Next week we'll be a little more in depth with some of the relationships as well as talk about the story, and I will give you guys a final evaluation and rating as to what I think about that 70's show. I apologize, my throat's a little bit iffy right now because I just had to go through a bit of another bean challenge in which I did some Harry Potter, Bertie Bott's beans, and some of the flavors kind of stuck through, so I might be a little bit iffy in the voice today, but I'm going to bear through this as much as I can. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about that 70's shows. We are starting off with the characters. And what character better off to start with than Eric Foreman? You know how there's always that one kid you remember in school where he was just really skinny and kind of geeky, very shy. Always did what his mother told him and his father told him. Had a sister that was a bit of a whore. Okay, maybe that's just this TV series here. But, you know, you had that one kid in class who was just very skinny and he was very geeky, just really seemed like he wasn't really going to make it that much anywhere. But he found a way to get one of the hottest girls, and they ended up having a great future together. Eric Foreman is just the epitome of the little engine that could. Just found a way to persevere through life as well as just find the hottest girl to make his own and just be a man. This is really an amazing story, actually, because up from season 1, episode 1 to the season finale, you definitely can see the slow progression of Eric Foreman going from just this kind of, you know, geeky, very shyish kid to being very outspoken, very confident, and very adventurous when it comes to trying new things. So you just notice a lot of times he would definitely be scared of what, you know, his mommy would be saying to him. His mom would also spoil him so many times. Trust me, we're going to get into Kitty and Red in just a little bit here. But with Eric, he definitely is one of those kids that some people can also relate to, because you feel like at a young age you're still trying to be able to live life, but you also want to just not disappoint your parents. And just hearing those moments where your parents say, "I'm so proud of you, I am so happy for you," those are the moments that Eric really lives for, when he does these great things, and he is just a fantastic human being. So honestly, I am very happy to see and be a part of, you know, the Eric Foreman character just develop and become his own man. It is just absolutely amazing. So the next person we will talk about, Donna Pinciotti. And basically she is what you would think as the girl next door. You know, she's very kind, she's very, I wouldn't say too flirty. She's definitely very independent. She's one of those women that really stands out amongst a lot of people in the crowd. She's seems very mature for her age. She definitely knows how to get her life together. She knows how to make responsible decisions. She also is one of those people that, you know, still is very young at heart, because a lot of times, especially if she is starstruck, she'll just be like the first person that ever met this, you know, celebrity, whether it was Ted Nugent or Alice Cooper, you know, among so many others. She'll just be like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. She'll have that fangirl moment, and it's just really, really cool to see that, you know, she can be mature, but she can also be very fun and energetic. She just knows how to really create just these awesome moments. And then there comes some moments where she just really goes above and beyond, mainly when it comes to crime. She's really just had kind of like this boring lifestyle. I mean, her parents really don't do that much of it, way of anything that's, normal. They go a little more abnormal. With Donna, she really likes doing things that are bad and really things that, might get her in trouble. She's one of those women who, an example of this would be the gang is basically going to a fast food joint, and they're trying to steal this ceramic clown. And Donna has this phrase of, right after this, we should steal like an animal or another item or a kid. She's suggesting kidnapping in this situation. Honest to God, this was one of the more interesting, if not frightening, moments when it came down to Donna, because you definitely do see a lot of it where she just tries to act tough, but she really sometimes can't really back it up, or she's just gone a little off the deep end. But in the end, you definitely do see that she's very much a sweetheart. She's warm-hearted, she's caring, she's very independent, but she also relies on others to help her get her through the day and through her life. We transitioned from that to the rebel of of the group, Stephen Hyde. A lot of people probably have that one friend who, is just very rebellious, who thinks that the government is always out to get them, always has these crazy conspiracies, or just flat out thinks that, anything that's cool just really is lame, unless it's something that's like, Led Zeppelin, heavy metal, stuff like that. That is basically what Stephen Hyde is. And Stephen Hyde's character is very well done, because he has grew up from a hard past. He had a alcoholic and a bit of an abandonment mother, an abandonment father who, tries to be a friend when he can, but just ends up leaving anyway. And he's always trying to be very, very tough. He's one of those guys who has this very rock-hard surface that it only cracks open like very few times. It's for very seldom people. In that 70's show, definitely a couple people that he would open up to would be either Hyde. Hyde would either open up to Miss Kitty or to Jackie when they were together. And trust me, we'll get into their relationship later on in the show. But soon after, he realizes that, the real true gift in life is indeed friendship. And he starts appreciating his friends more and more as time goes on. He was always there just as kind of like the cool guy, just to really make things kind of interesting. He was the one that introduced the circle to everybody. And for those of you that don't know what the circle is, go look it up and know that that is illegal. Don't do drugs, kids. So with Hyde, I really think that he's one of those guys who is very misunderstood, but he's also just one of the most charismatic, if not very anti-establishment people that you will ever meet, and it's really awesome to see that. We go from somebody who's bright to not so bright at all. Michael Kelso. You always think that there's this one kid who's very special, and that maybe he's been dropped on his head one too many times, or maybe there was some kind of deal going on with the pregnancy where he just really is not that, he's really not all there. And Michael Kelso is basically the embodiment of what being a stupid moron, a dumbass, a stupid idiot, if you will. He is that embodiment. He is one of those guys who really relies on his looks to get everything that he wants. He relies on he just relies on the fact that, he's not exactly that bright. He thinks that, his smile, his hair, his body, that he can do whatever. He is also a major horn dog where it just feels like every second you feel like, the normal kid would really probably have like every 7 seconds they'd start thinking about sex. It feels like every 2 seconds Michael Kelso is thinking about sex. Like, he'll be in a conversation and he'll say, oh, let's do it. And it's almost like watching a chihuahua just hopping up and down when they're getting all excited and just happy. And Kelso is one of those guys who's not always very smart when it comes to keeping secrets. Like, for instance, he was he was cheating on most of his girlfriends with another girl. He forgot to wear protection, and he got a girl knocked up. And he's not exactly smart when it comes to fire. I mean, he got the nickname Crap Shoes for a reason. Thank you, Leo. Thank you so much. Move on to Jackie Burkhart, the self-entitled princess who made it seem like everything should be like a romantic movie or just this great novel, something where everything should just be flat out perfect, and it's all about her. She's always referring to me. It's just one of those moments where you know that there's a lot of women that are like this. But as the seasons go on, again, you definitely do see that with Jackie, she goes from this, spoiled little princess brat to a very responsible and reliable young woman who just is still trying to figure out what she wants in life. And trust me, later on in the show, we're going to talk about, how that evolved throughout the seasons. With Jackie, she is definitely one of the very interesting stories when it comes to that 70s show. And she has a little bit of a interesting background to her. I mean, she has an abandoned mom, and her father eventually winds up getting in jail for bribery and politics. Yeah, I could have told them that was not going to happen that was not going to end well a long time ago. But in the end, you start seeing, the sweet side that she has. At first, it was just mainly to Michael Kelso. Then she started spreading on and finding out what more she wants in life, and that is a true knight in shining armor, not just some random boy that looks like they could be good, but in reality, they're not the perfect fit for her. We move on to my, honestly, favorite character of this series, and a lot of people will probably be kind of shocked at this. I'm talking about Fez. Fez is the foreign exchange student in the show who comes to America with a student visa. He's trying to learn everything that there is to know about the United States. You definitely could tell, at the first episode, he definitely is one of those guys who just does not have a solid grasp of the English language or, the terms and the slang. He's one of those guys who also has a very unhealthy addiction to candy. But he also really wants to find true love, but he also loves to be the center of attention. I've really noticed that. There's always some moments where it doesn't seem like he's trying, but you have to believe that there's a lot of moments where he just purposefully finds a way to be that center of attention, whether he's just trying to be himself or whether he's just trying to say, oh, hey, hey, I like to really be referred to as a stallion or something like that. Just, saying all this random stuff that everybody would think, you really should keep that to yourself. But Fez, to me, is just one of those guys who really evolves very well. And whether he's made boneheaded decisions like Michael Kelso, he still has he does have a lot of street smarts, I guess I could say. Fez is definitely one of those guys who is very under-recognized, and he's one of those guys that I look at and think, he's not really acknowledged as much as people want him to. Because he's one of those guys, A, he's foreign, B, he's doing all these weird things, and C, it just seems like he just wants to fit in, but for the wrong reasons. In the end, Fez is just one of the key holders and the key people of the group that really keep them together. Fez is just amazing. He's Fez. We move on from there to Kitty and Red. Kind of your typical mother-father duo. Red is just a hard ass. He grew up with the military lifestyle. His father was very hard on him. He does a lot of references to like his back in the war days, and he kind of ties that in with how he raises his kids, Eric and Lori. Kitty is the peacemaker, basically. She always tries to be that person who, babies up and just shows kindness and compassion to Eric and Lori. Of course, Lori not so much anymore because of the fact that she's not exactly your typical mother's daughter role model. She is one of those people that definitely looks at Eric as like the chosen one, no matter what, and she'll always try to find ways to really, she'll really try to find ways to just keep reminding him that you are my baby boy, you will always be my baby boy, no matter what. When Steven eventually moves in, she tries to do the same thing to him, and Hyde at first resents that, but he slowly starts accepting that because she's really now being like a mother that he's never had. And I'm not trying to say that to be mean. I'm trying to say that in the way that, his mom was never always there for him with a lot of his great moments like graduation or seeing him there for his 18th birthday. Just not exactly giving him the proper attention that he needs. And Kitty's always been there for Hyde. And it's just absolutely amazing. Red and Kitty are basically the dynamic duo. They are just absolutely great together. They are what you would expect a lot of parents to be. They love each other. They love their kids, mostly in different ways, but they always find ways to show their love and appreciation. And then, rounding off the characters with Mr. Bob Pinciotti. God help me, this is a guy who just is honestly one of the most interesting characters I could really say about that TV show. He's very outspoken. He, at first, definitely is one of those guys who believes that a man should be the workhorse and that a woman should be in the kitchen. But then he eventually opens his mind up quite a bit, and he starts realizing, that hey, women are not just, sex objects; that they're actually real people. Unless he's having fun with Mrs. Burkhart, which, oh boy, there's a lot of interesting moments when it comes to that. But what makes Bob so unique is that he is always trying to be a little bit of that, fun-loving dad who's thinking that, I'm cool because I can do these things and I can make jokes that can make kids laugh or something like that. He thinks that he is Mr. Cool. He is just what, some parents would call an embarrassing dad, but also a lot of kids would call like a really cool dad. It's just absolutely amazing how Bob has come along since season 1, episode 1. So we move on from these character traits. A lot of what these characters are like. Now we talk about some of the relationships that have been going on. We'll start off actually not with Eric and Donna. I'm going to save that one for a little bit later on and probably to close off the show. The interesting storyline actually that interests me is the relationship that Jackie Burkhart has. Because she has more relationships in this group than a lot of other people in this entire, series. You notice, like, every now and then, Michael Kelso will have, like, some random girl, or he'll be hanging out with them, or they'll be doing it. Hyde is very selective with his women, and Fez, he just wants a piece of tail. Let's just face facts. With Jackie, she's always trying to find a way to just make it seem like it's this happy ending, this fairy tale of a deal. And that's where it really starts off with Michael Kelso. The two of them had been going out for quite a while. Jackie wants everything to be perfect, where, of course, she'll want, like ponies and rainbows and just enjoying all of these random things. She's definitely very much a spoiled child. And she has Michael Kelso on this really tight leash to where he is just barely able to actually do anything. It's kind of one of those things that Michael Kelso actually enjoys, and then it turns out that it's one of those things that also drives a wedge between the two of them. which eventually evolves into cheating, where Kelso has an affair with Lori, Eric's sister. Jackie finds out, and they break off, but eventually they get back together because Michael Kelso is slowly starting to become more mature, and Jackie sees that, and she wants to give him a second chance because she believes that maybe there's a good chance that this is the more mature Michael Kelso that she would want. Everything worked out fine until they got to a very, 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 very serious point. And this is one of the points that really hits home when it comes to all of Jackie's relationships. When it gets to a very serious point, this is where you find out if the relationship is going to make it or if it's going to break. So with Michael Kelso and Jackie just decided, obviously, you obviously choose me every single time. I want you to actually choose me. Let's get married. I remember that episode so well, and just the reaction that Michael Kelso had of him just basically saying, wait, what? And he basically asks, you really want to get married? Jackie thinks that that's a proposal, and she is just so happy and gleeful. Michael Kelso, tucks tail and runs away to California, has fun with this blonde named Annette, also known as, oh gosh, not Pamela Anderson. Who the fuck was it? I actually forgot her name now. I actually had her on the tip of my tongue, and now I forgot her name was. I'll probably have to come back to it. But had an affair with Annette, and then it blows off everything else for Michael Kelso, and they finally realize that they're better off as just being really, really good friends. Because, obviously Jackie knows that this is, Michael is her first love, but she really just wants him in his life to be that kind of, mature, I guess, role model, sort of. I don't know exactly. Jackie, during this time, though, when Michael and her were apart, she goes to Stephen Hyde. Now, there was an episode where Jackie and Kelso were broken up. I believe it was the first time, yes. She saw Stephen as this kind of knight in shining armor, and she sees him as just this great, perfect man. And after the date, she just felt nothing. But now, after finding out about what's really going on with Kelso, she sees Stephen as one of those guys that, it seemed like it was, just a bit of a, shameless fling. Nobody really cared. But they eventually start getting more serious and actually becoming boyfriend and girlfriend. Now, interestingly enough, they break up because of Kelso. Not for the reason that you might think of. I just got done watching this episode, and it was really weird. Kelso and Fez had this little, weird sex dream thing that went on between the two of them. Kelso was upset. Jackie was comforting. Stephen Hyde thought that they were cheating and went off and found this really hot nurse to just, do it with, which eventually, this was the very interesting part, was that the reason why they broke off in the first place was because of Hyde admitting that he cheated on her because he thought this was going on. Unlike Kelso, who basically just tried to keep this whole thing hidden. Yeah. Which one seems more like boyfriend material? Like the handsome jock who's a bit of a scumbag, or the hairy anarchist, conspiracy thinking honest man? Kind of a dealer's choice now, isn't it? This was one of the more interesting relationships, was Jackie and Hyde, because obviously Jackie was so used to having Kelso doing whatever she wanted and saying what she wanted him to say, and just having all these different things that, were going her way. But when she paired up with Hyde was definitely one of those guys who still stuck to his ways. And the only way that Jackie can get through to him is to think like Hyde. That was the very interesting part about this, because the more that she started doing that, the more Hyde got attracted to her and started, expressing more feelings and actually opening up to her, which was very interesting. Now, of course, fast forward a bit, they started getting more serious. Hyde is still in the frame of mind where he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. He doesn't know what he wants in his, in life. He's still in that undecisive phase, and he's against the idea of marriage. He's against the idea of getting too serious, just saying, let's just live life right now and we'll just kind of go from there. And Jackie is just saying, like, no, I want to talk about our future now. I want to have a future with you now. I want to do this now. You kind of still see that. And Hyde, of course, he's just saying, I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not ready for that yet. And that will eventually drive them apart. Well, I guess I can't necessarily say that was the final nail in the coffin. I think the final one was the fact that Hyde, after basically losing Jackie, he went off to Vegas and married a stripper. That may have done it. I could be wrong. Well, no, that probably did it. And then we move on to the final relationship, which was Jackie and Fez. So this was actually the more interesting thing, because ever since day one, Fez had always had a thing for Jackie. She was always mean to him. She always ridiculed him. Always made him feel like he was never going to be something that she would even consider. But Fez always thought, there was always a chance. There was always a chance. There was always a chance. And throughout the season and the series, you just felt like maybe this was a chance. Maybe this is the opportunity. Maybe this is the time. Maybe this was it. And there were so many moments where it was like, oh my gosh, they might actually end up together. But it never really happened until the final season, when Jackie starts thinking about what she wants in a man, what she wants in a future husband, what she wants in a true love deal. And she realizes that every single characteristic and trait that she described, it matches with Fez. Now, a part of her is scared of that, but when she slowly starts to realize why, she was afraid of it, she realizes also that Fez was actually the true guy. I mean, there was even a scene in which we saw Fez was basically the beast and Jackie was, Belle. She just basically made it seem like, there was no chance. And then she gave, the beast a kiss, and he became this prince. And she realizes, that the list that she made was right. That he is her true love. And eventually, after all these arguments and everything, Fez wants to be with her, but for the right reasons. She doesn't want him to be picked because he's like a last choice, which was one of the reasons why they didn't end up initially. Eventually, he realizes that her intentions are indeed because she has feelings for him. And we just only get a glimpse of that in the series finale, where they share their first kiss. They're finally together, and we never really get a chance to see if they, make it further than what they really think. When Jackie finally says, let's talk about our future, if Fez says, okay, or says, or they just leave each other. It's one of those things that makes me want to see a That 70's Show movie, just to see all these guys just fast forward all the way to their current time. I would love to see that. I would absolutely adore that idea. It would just be absolutely amazing to see. So, if anybody's listening to this and they have an idea for a That 70's Show movie, or if they want to call it That 10's or That 2000, the new Millennium movie, something like that. Please, by all means, write it down, send it to Hollywood, and let's create this movie. It would just be absolutely amazing just to have a lot of these questions answered. Is Michael Kelso still a bit of an idiot? Is Stephen Hyde still a bit of an anarchist? Do Eric and Donna, get together, and do they fall in love? Do Fez and Jackie, end up getting married? It's just one of those things where, like, so many questions I still want to know. And, of course, let's talk about Eric and Donna. With Eric and Donna, they have one of the most prolonged but very, very well thought out relationships. Because, obviously, the two of them are nearly the same, but each of them have their own different things that make them different. Obviously, Eric is more of the nerdy side. He likes to talk about comic books and, Star Wars. He likes to just be this nerdy kind of guy. And Donna's a little more of the independent side, where she believes that, the woman can be as good as the man. And she's just, a very strong-willed woman. So there's you see a lot of the similarities, but you also see a lot of the major differences between these two. When they first started off, you definitely still saw a lot of the differences. And then Eric was the one who ended it, because he was trying to be serious about having, Donna in his life forever. And Donna's just saying, can't we just enjoy life? Can't we just, let these things happen if they happen? And I think the episode where they break up, where Eric has that really good amount of dialogue, where he's basically saying, if you can go through your life without thinking, that it would hurt that we are not together, then obviously this is not the way that I thought things were going. Maybe we should not be doing this anymore. It was one of the it was very heartfelt. It definitely tugged on your heartstrings just to see that, because you honestly thought that Eric and Donna were going to be the it couple, and they were for a while. But then there were, of course, other relationships that really made things more interesting. With that, you just still feel like, obviously Eric wanted one thing, Donna wanted another thing, so their differences separated them. But eventually, Donna realizes that Eric is the guy for him, and that Eric is somebody who is always going to be for her, and just always have her back and always treat her right. It was just, honestly, again, another great deal. And it evolved into just this great set of episodes where Eric goes to find Donna after she runs away and finds her. And just, the fact that, Eric goes through all these things with Donna, whether it's through death in the family or the divorce of Donna's parents, all these major traumatic events, Eric and Donna have always been there for each other, and it definitely shows that kind of strong bond that these two have. And eventually, this when they get back together, you see that Donna is still a little bit of the same, but she also is a bit more soft-hearted, I would think, if that's the right word. She's definitely a lot more softer, more gentler, where she's definitely a little more lenient to whatever Eric wants to do, and she really just shows that, that she can still be happy as long as she's with Eric. I mean, she'll still show her independency every now and then, but it was just more one of those moments where she just really enjoyed being with Eric, and that was the main thing that really kept them together. Eventually, it would evolve into them almost getting married, but Eric left because he thought that, them being together would be a mistake for Donna, because she would not be able to experience her life goals and her wishes. But Donna was just saying, like, it didn't matter as long as I was with you. And Eric didn't want it to be one of those things where she would regret it and hate him forever. So, of course, they end up getting back together again. But then it gets more interesting, because Eric, after taking some time off away, he decides to go back to college, and Donna's still working hard as a DJ radio host, and Eric decides to be a teacher. And obviously, the parents are not going to give him money, so he finds a new scholarship deal, which allows him to just, work for it. And where is this place located? Africa. So he is going to have to travel to Africa to get this scholarship opportunity. Donna doesn't really like that because she did so much for him, and now he's just going to leave. So this is kind of one of those things where they still love each other. They show strength in each other. They show strength there, but you definitely tell during the last final bits of the seasons that, Donna and Eric, they broke up. They obviously knew that, Eric knew that Donna was not very happy and that Donna needed to do what she wanted to do. The final episode of this entire series is very, very heart-wrenching because of that. I think it's like the second to final scene in that episode where we see Donna. She's on the Vista Cruiser. She's thinking about all the great things that happened between her and Eric. She still loves Eric. And next thing you know, Eric just appears. And, he learns about, Donna going to college and that, he was, as Red called him for so many episodes, a dumbass. He even goes out to say, Red was right, I am a dumbass. And that he even admits, I really didn't deserve you. You have been so amazing to me. I really wish I could have been as good as you wanted me to be. And just that last kiss that they share in the final episode, I mean, she is just in tears, and she knows that he is just really pouring out his heart to her. It's one of those things where it's just absolutely very heartfelt, very touching. It's one of the best ways to end a series. And like I said, Donna's going off to college, and Eric's finally got all of his money for college, so he's going to get ready to do that. And the question really begs right now, would we please just get that 70's show episode? I want to see that 70's shows movie. If they do it on a TV, that's fine. I would love to see them do it on Netflix, honestly. That would be amazing. If they did it in theaters, I think that a lot of people have a great following with that 70's show, that they would definitely be all over that, and that would definitely crank in a lot of dough. I'm not going to lie. So, this has been part one of a That 70's Show's retrospective, I guess you can call this. Tune in next week for the second part, the final part of That 70's Shows, where I actually talk about some of the certain episodes that go through it and give you guys a final rating as well as a very well thought out, deal. Just telling you guys what I think about That 70's Show entirely. I think a lot of people have a good idea, but I think people need to hear some of the interesting thoughts I do have about That 70's Show. So thank you guys so much for joining me here on this edition of Change the F Up. You can always follow me on Twitter at NateFNGreat. Be sure to also give some love to my co-host Victory Bell. I know that she would love to be here, but I just need to give her some time off right now so that way we can kind of figure out how to get the scheduling to work. She's starting a new job. She's doing a lot with her cosplay deals, so we're going to try to work something out at least by August, you guys. So by all means, for those of you that are wondering, where's Victory Bell? We're working on it right now. I just want her to, just kind of really enjoy this time away where she is, enjoying her job, enjoying her career. I think that, it'd be great. But again, show some love for Victory Bell by going to her Facebook fan page, VictoriBelleCosplay, which is also her Instagram account, so by all means, give her a follow there. Also follow her on Twitter at VictoryClark04. I know that if you check out her Facebook fan page, I know she's definitely talking about getting a new website up and ready to go, so definitely go check that out, you guys. Be sure to check us out on Facebook as well, Facebook.com/ChangeTheFUp1776, and also give a like to the Elite Ringside Network. ER Network 24/7, or just put in the Elite Ringside Network, or change the F up in the search engine, you'll find it. So thank you guys so much for joining me here for this edition. I have been Nate the Effing Great. The 70s show is great, and it's just going to get a whole lot better, especially if they create a movie. So thank you guys. Enjoy your weekend.